So, we are learning Igeres HaKodesh Chav Zayin, and we are on top of Kuf Mem Zayin, towards the top of Kuf Mem Zayin. We are, it's about 7-8 lines from the top. After the parentheses, which is like 6-7 lines from the top, it says, Hilkach Nekel Miod L'Talmidov. Let me just bring you up to date what he's talking about here. The Alter Rebbe, this chapter 27 is the chapter where he explains where is the tzaddik after he passes away, and how do we have accessibility to the tzaddik? And as the HaKodesh says, the accessibility is even more to the tzaddik post-life than during lifetime. This is the thrust of this chapter. So now where we're at now in this section, the Alter Rebbe is going to teach us that not only can one have a connection to what's called the ruach of the tzaddik, the level of ruach. There's 5 levels: nefesh, ruach, neshama, chai, yechida. But for our discussion, the Alter Rebbe just speaks about nefesh, ruach, neshama. Nefesh again is action orientation. Ruach is midos orientation, and neshama is seichel orientation. We know that the chelik hanefesh, the part of the soul that's called nefesh, is at a caver, is at the person's caver. When you go to a caver, you daven to Hashem at a caver, you ask your parents, your Rebbe, your whatever, your friends, whoever you respect, to intercede on your behalf to bring your tefillos to Hashem. You're relating to the nefesh, because there's a reshimu, it says in Kabbalah, there's a remnant of nefesh at the caver. And this is why, if one can get to their parents' caver on a yard site, it's best. And I talk to myself. Some years I succeed, and some years I don't. And like I've told you the story with the holy Stralisker, known as the Sorov, who forgot to give tikkun for his mother's neshama. She came to him in a dream. She said, I could forgive you for not saying Kaddish for me. I could forgive you for not coming to my caver on my yard site. But one thing I can't forgive you for, unless you make tikkun, you're corrected, is not giving tikkun on my neshama on that day. The lechayim and the kichlach. You hear that? Now, a litvak won't buy it. No question about it. A chassid understands it. Because it's not a halachic idea. It's the spirit. So, but nevertheless, there is a virtue of going actually to the caver on the yard site. But what do you relate to? Only nefesh. Ruach and neshama is not there normally. Okay? The Alter Rebbe says here that there's a way of accessing the ruach of the tzaddik, and even more so the neshama of the tzaddik. How? To sum it up, it's through tremendous love that we have towards the tzaddik, or in the Alter Rebbe's terminology, his kashrus, binding ourselves, connecting ourselves to the tzaddik. He reciprocates by giving us more than just nefesh. And that's a powerful thought. And that's the reason why Hasidim why Hasidim have such a bond to their Rebbe. Everyone, every chassid to whatever Rebbe, etc. Why? It's because they have this ava. It's not that they're looking for, hey, I want an extra piece of cake, i.e., I want a little ruach, I want a little neshama, so I'm going to love my tzaddik more. That's foolish and silly. It's because you understand and you feel this person is such a heilig tzaddik, and you love him, and you have awe for him, and you have emunah in that he is communicating the will of HaKodesh Baruch Hu. So this is what we're going to learn now in the section. So let's go. Hilkoch, after the parentheses. Nekel mioid. It is very easy, Avram. It's not just easy, it's mi'od. Nekel mi'od. It's very easy. L'talmidav, to the students, those who consider themselves students of a particular tzaddik, l'kabel chelkom, to receive their portion of effluence from the tzaddik, b'bchinas ruach rabam ho'atzmis, from the essential spirit of their Rebbe, their teacher, their essential one. What is the atzmis, the keruach? And the Alter Rebbe says, shehem emunosai, his faith in God, v'yirosai, in his awe for Hashem, v'yavosai, in his love. When you attach yourself to the tzaddik, you get some of that. So Isser, it's no longer my own ava, yira, and emunah. Part of what I have now in ava, yira, emunah is those sensations and feelings that my tzaddik has. And some of that's imbued in me. That's holy. That's tremendous. And that answers a question that I'm sure you've asked yourself, Chevra. How is it that, coming from where I come from, doing what I do, all of us, how is that sometimes we have this elation and these feelings that are so holy and so pure? The answer is, if you're connected to a tzaddik, the tzaddik imbues you, kinds of impregnates you with something greater than yourself. And because of that, you're able to do things that you ordinarily wouldn't be able to do, regardless of how much Gemara and how much Chassidus you learn. How do you like that? Let's go on. Asher Ovad Behem Es Hashem, the tzaddik worked with emunah, yira, and ava, and says the Alter Rebbe, v'loi zivon bilvad. Not only will you have an emanation from the tzaddik, hameir chutz l'kli, which shines outside the vessel, but you'll have actually the etzem of the tzaddik. Because the tzaddik's essential spirit, misaleh be'ilu yache ilui, ascends from level to level, to be incorporated in his level of neshama. You hear that? The tzaddik, through his own avodah, causes that his level of spirit, of ruach, ascends greater and greater to his level of neshama, which is the most pristine state of the soul experience. And all of that is then reflected in you, who's bound to the tzaddik. Let's continue. And where is this level of neshama? Where? Shebe Gan Eden, in Gan Eden. Ho Elyon, the upper Gan Eden. Shebe Olam is Elyonim, from the upper worlds. V'noida, it's known. Shekol Dover Shebe Kedusha. Listen to this rule. Any aspect of holiness, ein a nekar legamri, is not completely removed, mikol v'kol, at all, mimekaymai, from its place, from madrekas, and its level, harishayna, the first one. Gam la'achas shenasala l'mayla mayla, even after it ascended upward, ובחינה זו הראשונה שנשארה למטה בגן עדן התחתון במקומי מדרגוסי. And it's the original level that remains below in Gan Eden of the lower Gan Eden, its place at its level, Rishona, Hiya Mispashetes B'Talmidov. It extends itself to the Tzaddik's students. Kol echad kefi b'chinas miskashrusai. This is what I told you earlier. How much of the Tzaddik extends itself to the student? It depends. It's one amount for you, Isser, another amount for me, and the third amount for you, Avram. Why does it depend? Why did verses kifi prinesis kashrusai v'kirvosai a love? It depends on how much I am bound and you are bound, and how close you are and how close I am. B'chayav, while he was alive, uvemoso. You hear that? Okay, a plug for the Meshichistin without being Meshichistic. Uvemoisoi, to be connected to the Tzaddik after his death. Right here. Tanya Chav Zayin. It doesn't mean you have to go around screaming he's the Mashiach and all of that. But there's a concept of the connection to a tzaddik uva. You see it here? I didn't make it up. It's right here. Uva. The word in his death. Bi'ava Rabba. What type of iskashus are we looking for, Chevra? Avarabba, an abundant love. Not cheap love, not temporary love, but an abundant love. Ki amshochas kol ruchnius eine elo al yedei avarabba. The Alter Rebbe again puts down another principle, Isser. You want to experience avarabba? I would like to have once in my lifetime one taste of avarabba. Says the Alter Rebbe, the only way that you can experience real ruchnius is when you have an abundant love. And how do I have this abundant love? Through his kashrus to the tzaddik during his lifetime and after his death. Then I may experience a reflection, a taste of his Ava Lashem, which is Ava Rabbah. And that will be transmitted to me, the partitioner and the chassid, who has these kashrus with such great love to the tzaddik. And the tzaddik will say, here's a little gift. And then you experience real ruchnius. And this is another very powerful insight, Chevra. Real ruchnius. Not pseudo-ruchnius. Real ruchnius. Ruchnius, spirituality. What is spirituality? What is ruchnius? Can you touch ruchnius? Is it tangible? The answer is yes and no. The answer is pashtus no. It's ruchnius, spiritual. But it becomes so real to you as though you could touch it, as though you could feel it. You're living in the world of spirituality. And the world of spirituality is a world of spirituality, meaning it has a face, it has a smell, all in a spiritual way. As it says in the Holy Zohar, listen to this. Haruach is the ruach, the reusa de liba, the spirit that comes from the will of the heart. Amshich ruach mile'ela. When a yid, the Zohar HaKodesh says, displays a spirit that comes from the very depth of the person's heart, what's called the Ratzon Halev, the Pnimius HaRatzon, the inner yearning and longing and of doing Hashem's will, causes a reflection. Ruach, I see Ruach. That's the terminology in the Zohar. The spirit displayed by us, Beruchnius, Ruach, Ruchnius, causes, I see, means it brings about, it causes Ruach de Le'ela, the spirit from on high, of that intense avarabba, abundant love, to come forth, come down, come into you. Rak im yichave im yikoin likras elikov. When will this be? Only if a person prepares himself before Hashem, behachona rabba, with much preparation, v'yagira atzuma, and tremendous effort. As I've said many times in this year, it doesn't come from being a couch potato, being an indulgent individual. It takes a lot of work and effort. And when you prepare yourself, look at the words, b'hachone rabba, that's number one. And number two, b'yagia atzuma, with tremendous effort, to do what? L'kabel sholish midas halolum. You prepare yourself with great effort and much toil to receive these three midos, these three attributes of faith, awe, and love, kederech shahirohu rabbi, in a manner that the teacher, the Rebbe, the Tzaddik, instructed the person, if you will exert effort, you will find. Believe them. Now, what is the Chazal saying? What's the Chazal saying? When you lost an object, and then you find it, the mitzvah, the finding, is much greater than what you lost before. That's the chiddush, and that's why it's tamen. In other words, if you didn't lose anything, you have it, and you don't have it. Here we're saying is your gaita, you exerted effort, umatzasa. And through that effort, you found the solution. You found the object. What do you walk away with? Something greater than what you had originally. So the Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe, uses this over here to explain that when you, the chassid, the Jew, that binds himself with his kashrus to the tzaddik, he gets something much more than what he bargained for. What does he get? He gets the Abba Rabba. In other words, you could say, yes, sir, look, I love the tzaddik, I listen to the tzaddik, I live with the tzaddik, and the tzaddik gives me a nice pat on my back, and I get inspired, but basically, I'm the same guy. What the Alter Rebbe is saying here, what he's alluding to here, is that if you really have the hiskashrus, your gaita, in a way of yagia, of effort, Avram, that you exert yourself. It's hard. It's not easy to follow everything of the tzaddik and do everything of the tzaddik. And it makes you sweat and toil and work. Umatzasa, you will find the object, but in a greater way. You get something that you didn't expect to get. Umatzasa, it's a mitzvah. What would that be? The avarabba. Because the avarabba of the tzaddik, the abundant love, is not the expectation of a normal relationship between a practitioner and a tzaddik. That's the chiddush here. Why Yagia Rabba is necessary if you want to experience the avarabba. That's what the Alter Rebbe is alluding to here. So we finished with this concept of the Talmidim receiving this avarabba. But there is an additional emanation that the students of the Rebbe, of the Tzaddik can have. Rak she'einem mislabeshes b'toich moicha mamish. Kirishona. this Isser is not invested in the minds of the student as is the first level. You see like this. Ruach, remember, we have Neshama, Ruach, and Nefesh. So Ruach is in between, right? So what the Alter Rebbe explained to us now, through his kashrus, you have an accessibility to Ruach in a way that permeates your mind. Now he's saying, but what about the level of Neshama, of the Tzaddik, that higher level? No, that remains aloof. That remains in Gan Eden Elyon. Now the Alter Rebbe says, there's even a way of accessing that. However, Rak, continue in the text, Me'ira aleya milmayla. This level will illuminate the partitioner, the chassid, who binds himself to the tzaddik from above. V'hi ma'aliyas ruchoi v'nishmosoi l'mokar chaitzvoi. It is when we cause the spirit and the neshama to ascend to its source from where it was carved out of. And here we go. Get ready for those holy apples. The Hainu l'chakal tapuchen kadishin. I've been waiting 64 years of my life to say those words in public. Holy apples, chakal tapuchen kadishin. We say it Shabbos in the Zmiros, and who knows what they're saying? Holy apples. What is holy about holy apples? What are apples doing in the Zmiros? And this is the basic explanation. There's a field, there's a tree in a field, and there are apples that grow on the tree. Overall, we say that this alludes to what's called Sfirat HaMalchus, the emanation, the 10th of the 10 emanations known as Sphiros. The 10th sphere is called Malchus, Malchut, kingship, glory, royalty. We call them Tapuchin Kadishin, holy apples, because you can have an apple that falls from the tree and ends up spoiled and disintegrates and worthless. And then you can have an apple that's eaten the proper way, tastes delicious. So we're saying over here that these apples that are on a tree, which are in the field, are not dismantled, discarded, and meaningless, but rather they're very, very focused and holy. Hence, holy apples. Tapuchin Kadishin. The Hainu, says the Alter Rebbe, the lechakal tapuchin Kadishin. You hear where the neshama of the tzaddik ascends to? The neshama Isser, not just the nefesh and the ruach, but the ruach and the neshama, the higher part of the tzaddik, ascends to something even higher, to the level called holy apples, kal tapuchin kadishin, malchus in its pure state. And this causes the unity, the yichud, ayidei halohis man, by elevating the feminine waters, mikol myself, of all of our actions, v'teirosai, and his Torah, v'avidosai, in his service, asher ovad kol yemei chayav, top of page 234, which he worked, he exerted, he invested throughout his lifetime. V'nizriu, and this work of spirituality through Torah, mitzvahs, and ava, and yira, and amunah, he planted b'chakal tapuchin kadishin. he caused a plantation into the holy apples. So the holy apples, Malchus, is no longer a dim experience, like when the moon is very small, the crescendo of the moon. But he plants it into that situation through the Ava and Yira and Emunah, and then later on, it's revealed. That's what he says. Upper energies, mi'oid, very great ones. Le'umes tachtoinim, in comparison to the ones below, asher heim toirose ba'avoidose ba'oris oiris el yoinim elu mi'ira kol talmidav. And these holy levels are then shown to his students through their learning and their ava and their yira, etc. Shenasu oivdei Hashem, for they become servants of Hashem. Ayidei Torah so, through learning the Tzaddik's Torah, v'avados so, and doing his activities. And we'll stop here, but basically, this is the idea that the Alter Rebbe is alluding to, that you can even taste from the highest source of the Tzaddik through connection. Tomorrow we'll continue. Sei gesund. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.